Hi YouTube, today is the 8th of October 2016 and I want to go back and I want to look at old baby photos that I have. Because I want to see if there were any signs of, if I could see any signs of autism in pictures that I have from when I was really little. And I do have a film scanner, so I was able to go through and scan the negatives so that I got high quality pictures. Now these are all 126 negatives, and these are all shot with a Kodak Instamatic. It was an the model was X15 camera, and needless to say, I found some pretty interesting signs. So what I'll do here is I'll start popping some pictures up and I'll explain what's going on in them. Okay, so the picture you see right here in front of you is a picture that was taken of me right after I got home from the hospital. Now, I was born at 36 weeks, which is early, but not too early. Now, back in 1979, 36 weeks was considered full term, but today, had I been born in this day and age, I probably would have been placed in the NICU for a couple weeks, because they figured out later on that 36 weeks is just not quite well done enough. And so, like many babies who are born early, they suffered from jaundice. And this picture you see here was taken right after Christmas, 1979. I was under the lights to help get rid of that, and this actually is my very earliest memory. And what I remember about it was the fact that I couldn't see because I had the blinders over my eyes to protect my eyes from the fluorescent lighting that was up on the ceiling. Today they do LED therapy and stuff like that, and you can just wrap the baby in a light blanket, but you couldn't do that back then because the technology didn't exist, so they put things over my eyes to help protect them, and I couldn't see, and I could just kind of peek out of the corners, and that was it, and that's what I remember from that event. So one thing that became clear to me when I looked through the photos was that Mom did a fairly good job of either waiting or getting me to pose for pictures, but she did on occasion screw up and not get me in a pose. And so this is kind of what I looked like when I had no expression on my face. It was just kind of a blank, lost to the world stare. And Mom did comment to me after all this came to light that I did indeed seem to be, a lot of times in my own world. And that's one of those things that a lot of parents who have kids on the spectrum will say, is that their kid seems like they're in their own world. And now with my grandparents, they took pictures of me too, and those pictures they did a much better job of capturing some of those moments where I'm just kind of staring off into space. Like here, I'm in my dad's arms, and I'm just kind of, what's going on? And same thing here in this picture that they took on my first birthday. Now this photo, thanks to an annotation in the photo album, was taken July 27th, 1981 at the Bay Beach Amusement Park up in Green Bay, Wisconsin. And I am riding the ponies around. And there you see me, apparently Mom was able to get my attention so she could snap the picture. But this isn't really a memory of mine. Notice my hands. I'm holding the swells of the saddle as opposed to the horn, like everybody else, which is what you're supposed to do. And off to the left of the screen, there's going to be a kid who's maybe about 13 years old. He's going to come over. He came over and he motioned for me to put my arms to put my hands on the horns of the saddle. And I didn't quite get what he was getting at. He was trying to talk to me too, but his mouth was full of crackers, so I couldn't understand what he was saying. So finally he grabbed my hands and he put them on the horn, and that's how I figured that out. I was like, oh, I'm supposed to do this. And so that's a very early memory of mine. And now, all these early memories of mine that I have a very detached, kind of spacey feel to them. Like I was there, but I really wasn't there. And I don't know if this is something that's unique to the autistic experience, or this is something that everybody experiences when they're very young. And I'll get to explain what I mean here in just a moment. So now let's go forward a year in time. These photos were taken on August 7th and 8th, 1982. And they represent the first really solid, vivid memories I have. Right around this time, something in my brain clicked, and I suddenly was able to remember things with much vividness and detail. Now, these photos were taken at a wedding. One of my aunts got married and they lived on the farm, and we spent the weekend down at the farm, and we stayed at a hotel. I remember the wedding banquet. I remember sitting across from my grandpa. I remember what I ate. It was turkey slices, mashed potatoes, green beans with gravy, and everything kind of had that banquet taste that you would come to expect from banquet food. And then I remember staying at the hotel, waking up the next morning in the hotel. Here I am inside my dad's 74 Satellite playing around with the steering wheel. And then here I am on the farm. I'm petting the cows and having an all-around good time, and I also got to play on the tractor. And I remember vividly playing on the tractor. I remember stepping on the pedals. I remember playing with the steering wheel, and I remember that someone left the keys in it to start it up, and someone came and they got the keys out from the vehicle. But unlike the previous memory from a year before at Bay Beach, I can definitely say that I did not have that detached, spacey feel to it. And again, I don't know if this is part of normal development or if this is something that's just unique to the autistic experience. One thing I picked up on going through these photos was that a lot of them, it's just me by myself in the house. And my parents told me that it was always difficult to take me places because I would get overstimulated and I would melt down. And they also said that I had zero interest in interacting with other kids my age. And so when I did interact with other kids, it was quite the moment for them, and it seems like they went out of their way to get pictures of it. Now, it's very common for kids on the spectrum to line up things. I did that. And my grandma caught this picture of me doing just that. This was taken Christmas 1981. Now let's fast forward 10 years. Look over my right shoulder. This was on my 12th birthday. What did I do behind me there? I got all that stuff on the bay window lined up. I actually used to sit over there and watch it storm out. It was cheap entertainment for me, and I would play with those optics there and I would line them up. So the last thing I'll touch on in this video is sensory stuff. Here I am. It's Halloween 1989, and I'm still wearing Velcro strap shoes because tying shoes was simply still, at almost 10 years old, it was still too hard for me to do. And in fact, with the feet, a lot of the pictures where you can actually see my feet, I'm either wearing some kind of, I'm either in sandals or some kind of heavy slippers or just barefoot because I cannot stand to have shoes on my feet for 8 hours a day. I just couldn't do it. So that was a look back at my earliest days and some of my earliest memories and what I recall of them. And needless to say, I do think that the signs were there. But again, you have to remember that these photos date back to early 80s, and as I've stated before, the awareness that we have today wasn't there. So I went 25 years before I got a diagnosis, and hopefully this video might help somebody out there. So I thank you for watching, and please like, comment, and subscribe.